longer. Still waiting. Help me! I'm just warming up. Need more time. I do that? So good, I astound myself. Still waiting. Need more time. Not ready yet. swarming up. I must heal!
A more thrilling battle.
Crispy around the edges, but I'm fine now, thanks to you. Let's go! Help me! Is this my blood? I can't breathe.
Another senseless death.
I feel terrible.
Still waiting. That's impossible. I can't carry anymore. I need to go back.
Into Auric.
Not yet. What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with hello.
Not ready yet. Still waiting. Need more time. Not ready yet. Yes, the beast is down.
A victory for the ages!
Is it right that I bent the will of these juvenile wood wraiths to my ends? Even though they were only mindless predators, all of nature's beings deserve to be free. Instead, I have made them slaves to my eternal quest. Another act for which I must someday pay.
The wither moth is a curious phenomenon. It is tremendously large for an insect, and somehow its size allows it to expel a charging force when attacked. For this reason, few have survived to study it in great detail, including many notable academics. In fact, please do not inquire further upon this subject.
I have found many references to the beasts of Pandemonium in Kane's old writings. He journeyed there 20 years ago to help a band of heroes seal away the primevals, and his discoveries appear to have shaken him deeply. Sometimes he would stare outside the fortress walls, and winged beasts would appear, calling his name. Tyrael has told me that the winged assassins were once the sages of wisdom. In return for their vow of eternal silence, they were free to roam Malthael's pools of wisdom in the high heavens. Over the millennia, they learned nearly everything about the past, the present, and even part of what would come. But could they have foreseen their dark fates? That I do not know.
The Ravagers were among the most fearsome soldiers of hell. Having grown accustomed to the taste of war, they remained in Pandemonium long after the last siege of the fortress ended. Now, they regard the realm as their own and terrorize any angels who venture onto the battlefields. Pandemonium is a vast, chaotic realm, and many demons remain scattered throughout it. In particular, the war-scarred Marauders were unwilling to return to the Hells, and they have taken to pillaging the remaining angelic outposts in the battlefields. They may not be the most powerful of their kind, but they are clever and insidious, and no strangers to war.
I encountered the most troublesome bats in the caves outside Westmarch. My companions and I had sheltered there with the intent of organizing my many records, when the miserable creatures appeared and tore several of the scrolls to pieces. Truly, the world shall be a poorer place for this lost wisdom.
Malthael's influence taints man and beast alike. Even the dogs of Westmarch, once tame and gentle, have been transformed into wild, savage creatures. They hunt in packs through the streets, tearing apart their prey with ravenous hunger. I saw them rip a soldier limb from limb. When his screams stopped, they came for me.
The Unburied are formed from the tusked Boggan is a ferocious, hulking beast with an exceedingly bad temper. Aided by packs of Boggits, it will fight anything that crosses its path. Invariably, some of the Boggits will die, but the survivors are rewarded with scraps left over from the Boggan's prey. If only my assistance would work for so little. Some devious little goblins have been robbing up.
The tormented stingers may resemble giant scorpions, but in truth, they are molded from the bodies of human sacrifices. The demons twist their victims into the stingers' distinctive forms by slicing open their chests and viciously mutilating their legs. Maddened by pain, these creatures can poison their prey with a single strike. Rumor holds that Archbishop Lazarus loosed a silent terror in the caves near Leoric's Manor before he died. He labored for weeks over a group of unusually large spiders, and many of his servants quietly disappeared during this time. The largest creature led the others into the caves. None who have ventured there have returned.
The Sasquatch were once men, changed by the evil of the island into the monstrous beasts they are now. Or, wait, did I change them to save them from the evil? Or to combat the evil for me?
The Morlu were once men, great warriors of old, but each of them had darkness within his soul, and Mephisto, the Lord of Hatred, used this flaw to trick them into his service. Mephisto's fury slowly burned away their mortal forms, leaving them fiery apparitions who know no pain, fear, or doubt.
hallucinations are getting worse. I saw a giant made of water today. This apparition coughed up a seething mass of crustaceans before it disappeared beneath the waves. I watched these things dismember and consume everything they encountered. I have named them amputators, even though I am not sure they are real.
The ancient texts describe the terror demons as unconquerable foes, the dreams of Diablo made flesh. They appear in shadow to torment their victims, and then, in shadow, they vanish. The mere sight of one drove a Horodrim to madness, leaving him screaming and clawing at his eyes until the end of his days.
Malthael's fallen angels have brought death to Westmarch, raising an army of reapers from the city's slain defenders. Once, these men and women were our protectors. Now, they are our executioners, scouring the city for every living soul and putting them to the sword. Though this Reaper wields a dangerous sword, its shield, with its rows of razor-sharp spikes, poses the greater threat. With a single thrust, it can open a man from waist to throat. That shield was not made for protection. It was made to cripple, maim, and kill. Any other archer would have fled as I charged, but this one stood its ground, staring down the arrow's shaft through lifeless, empty eye sockets. Even as I swung my blade to take off its head, the thing loosed another shot. How can we fight an enemy that has no fear, nor thought for its own self-preservation?
I once met a raving drunk who claimed he had wrestled with a succubus, a demonic creature that possesses the form and face of a beautiful woman. He said she cursed him and tore out the heart of his friend before he made a narrow escape. Really, young men are given to such exaggeration these days.
Though the subjugators have always been powerful demon sorcerers, they constantly sought to increase their standing in the bloodthirsty realms of hell. To this end, they imprisoned a score of massive Armadon, torturing and flaying them until the hell beasts would bear subjugators as riders. Together, the Mount and its master are nearly invincible.
The deserts of Kyrgyzstan are majestic, expansive, and full of stinging swarms of insects. They may seem a minor nuisance, but these vermin carry numerous strains of pestilence. One of them was trapped in my boot once, and my foot swelled up to the size of a melon before the infection cleared. What horrible creatures! Spiderlings alone may seem unthreatening, but their presence should be a warning for travelers. For wherever there are spiderlings, there will be matriarchs, and the fully grown arachnids are extremely protective of their young. The spiderlings themselves possess strong appetites, allowing them to do considerable harm to a cornered adventurer. The ubiquitous spider is one of the oldest and most adaptable creatures in the world. It also seems to have acquired an unfortunate susceptibility to magic. When exposed, the arachnids will increase dramatically in size and even cast spells. Due to this hazard, I recommend staying out of dark places whenever possible.
Soul Rippers are the bane of the living, creatures born of the endless malice churning within hell. Agile and swift, the Rippers cover ground quickly by latching onto prey with their enormous tongues, and then leaping on top of their victims. From this point, the Ripper cannot be deterred. It has begun to feast. During the last days of King Leoric's reign, even the skeletons of the ancient dead could not rest. They took up their broken armor and weapons once more, ready to cut down anything that yet drew breath. Though wasted and fragile, these creatures possess a twisted cleverness that makes them quite formidable.
Only the most talented mages can summon skeletal guardians. It takes great power to form these tall, slim constructs from their unstable reagents, and even more power to sustain them. In the hands of a master, however, the guardians can become powerful weapons capable of defending their posts until the end of time.
The great pestilence in Westmarch killed both humans and beasts alike. The panicked survivors then threw the corpses of both into the plague tunnels. Now the Reaper's presence has revived many of those interred there, with the bones of beasts rising again as skeletal crawlers, driven to kill the living.
The Siege Breaker is a monster of legends, of nightmares, and thin whispers in the dark. It is the most prized champion of the Demon Lords, because its massive size and strength could turn any battle in its favor. I wish I knew more, but alas, all who have seen it have perished.
I had believed my new assistant was the noisiest creature in the world, but that was before I discovered the Shrieking Terror. This bat-like monstrosity produces the most ear-splitting racket imaginable, and furthermore managed to make my assistant scream even louder. I think my headache will last for weeks now.
The shadow touched me, and darkness spread across my vision until all I could see was blackness. It gave way to a pale light that sapped my strength. It seemed so easy. But instead, I drew upon the last of my will and fought back. Color flooded back into my sight. The shadow was right before me, and I drove my spear through it.
There has been much debate among the Horodrim regarding the shadow vermin. Some scholars believe that these wraith-like foes are formed from concentrated demonic energy. They are the souls of humans, corrupted by Diablo, through the darkness, ready to smother their unwary prey. My journey to Pandemonium has allowed me to see a new world, one that is almost too fantastic for mortal eyes. The ancient battlefields stretch before me, a desolate space that is occupied by small, scouring beasts. They search the lands endlessly, thriving off the magic that lingers from battles long past. Not all of the hazards of Pandemonium lie above ground. The tunnelers roam just beneath the surface, breaking through to snatch prey in their enormous jaws. And my heroic friends ask why I wish to stay inside the fortress.
Scavengers are ugly, pathetic creatures who survive off of carrion and corpses, too diseased to attract any other carnivores. I did once meet a raggedy fellow who claimed that he had trained one of the beasts to bring him large rats to eat. But I'm sure the story is utter nonsense. I had half a mind to explore the ancient ruins outside Westmarch, and then I realized they were crawling with dreadful scarabs. Of course, these creatures do not frighten me, but they make my research much too time-consuming. And I am widely known for my efficiency, am I not? I would rather not discuss the sand wasp. These overgrown insects wouldn't be notable whatsoever if not for their exceptionally poisonous stings.